Welcome back. Welcome back. Y'all, we made it. Week 4. I'm so proud of y'all. Thank you for sticking with me through this entire journey. It has been a journey. Once again, my name is Jonathan Hill, Plant 3 Wellness Coordinator here in Gentry, Arkansas, and this is Healthy Habits. Now, before we hop into our content today, I would like to do a quick recap over the last 4 weeks that we've been going through, okay? Kind of get some feedback from you guys. So in week 1, we addressed 2 things. The first being the order of eating, okay? As that being the foundation for the entire glucose method, which this class is based upon, right? So we start with fiber, protein, and fat, the OG big 3, and then we end the meal with starch and sugar, okay? And then we talked about savory breakfast, relearning what a nutritious breakfast is and what that looks like, building our breakfast or first meal of the day if you're fasting around protein, right? And either substituting something sugary with something savory or just placing something savory before something sugary, okay? And then we got into vinegar once a day, the only optional habit in this glucose method. 1 tablespoon of vinegar a day, optimally 10 minutes, but you have a time lapse there of 10 to 30 minutes prior to a meal, okay? Preferably a meal that has starch and sugar in it, okay? Because that's where vinegar is the most effective, okay? And then last week we had our first guest speaker, Brad Baldwin, and we talked about Veggie Starter, diving a little bit more into why fiber first is important. And we talked about a little bit easy examples, making it simple, something that you can grab and go, or what a Veggie Starter looks like for you. And speaking of, I would love to hear some feedback from you guys if any of you tried this habit over the course of the last 7 days, okay? WebEx fam, you too. We'd love to hear some feedback. And so we'll have a few minutes here at the beginning to kind of have a conversation, if you will. All right. Any volunteers? Okay. I had a WebEx comment that said the order of eating was the most difficult because they were used to having dessert first. Okay. And like I said at the beginning, this is the journey. It's a process. Lifestyle change doesn't happen overnight, but kudos to you for still trying. I know that's difficult, changing the way that you eat. Okay, so somebody's been eating their greens first thing in the morning. Tell me how that's been. How that's been. I'm interested to see how eating greens first in the morning has affected your day. And if you don't get a chance to type up your reply, it's all good. We'll have time at the end of class as well. Yes. Okay. Our participant on WebEx said that it's been great. Her cravings have decreased and she doesn't want to eat as much in the morning as she usually does. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. Okay, so we have another awesome participant here that says she has started introducing salads in the morning prior to her breakfast and has noticed her hunger throughout the day pretty level, okay? Not a lot of hunger cravings. That is fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Well, appreciate you guys for sharing with us. And we'll have time at the end to open it up. Now, before we get started, as every week, I always want to make sure that I remind you guys of who I am not, so I stay in my circle, okay? I am not a registered dietitian, a doctor, or a scientist. I'm a wellness coordinator here to instruct and facilitate quality information, okay? And that information is for you guys. So test any and all claims that I make over the course of this class. Make sure that you build up for yourself a careful evidence-based approach, no matter what. Even if it's not me talking and you read something on the internet, make sure that you always gather a careful evidence-based approach, okay? All right, so this week we are talking about movement, okay? Movement is a very, very powerful glucose ally that absolutely loves to help, right? And you know what loves to help? It's our muscles. And how do we engage our muscles? Through movement. This is an example of me doing a little speed race with my daughter. This is like how we like to move during the week, okay? So fun little example there. Now, Why is movement important and what does it do to affect our body in relation to the glucose method? Glad you asked. Movement after a meal helps aid our metabolism and the effectiveness of our digestion, okay? And we're looking at least 10 minutes of movement after we consume something, okay? Now, we're not talking about going to the gym and slamming an hour workout or going to a HIIT class or dropping Gimme 50, which you can do those things. We're just talking about movement, okay? Getting on your feet, doing something active for about 10 minutes. And the more diverse, the better, right? The simpler something is, the more likely we are to return to doing it, okay? So let's look at some examples, right? It could be dancing. Now, I know y'all like to dance in here. I had somebody over here trying to show me some dance moves the other day in class. I know it. You don't come up? No, I'm saying I'm not going to do you like that. Maybe y'all like to walk with friends, okay? We like to spend time in our community with our coworkers, right? You'd be walking around. It could be parking in a parking spot far away and walking to work, okay? Or taking a long route to get back to our line or to the restroom, right? Or at home. It could be going and doing some work around the house, right? Cleaning up, tidying up, taking out the trash, right? Getting in the garden. It doesn't have to be complicated and it does not have to be overly taxing. It's just movement. Movement is medicine. Okay. Now that we've addressed how movement is medicine, well, why is that a good thing? Who in here likes to be in a food coma by a raise of hands? Anybody? One person in the back. I see. No. So usually food comas come from our culture as Americans. When we eat, we're usually sitting down, okay? We're also usually staying seated after we consume food, okay? Which is common in our culture. However, we're trying to break the mold, right? We're trying to build new lifestyle habits, okay? So when we walk, when we have light exercise, office dance parties, turning up, we're doing the dishes, we're vacuuming, whatever that may be, we're helping to cancel out these food comas, okay? We have more energy, reduced inflammation, our mood is steadier. Did you know movement after eating also improves our skin? Okay, so good looking, smooth skinning. Who doesn't love that, right? Okay, and that's free, by the way. And healthier organs. Okay, so just things to keep in mind on why we are adopting these lifestyle healthy habits. Okay, now, as I mentioned before, some practical examples: parking far away, taking a long route to work, marching in place like a soldier. Okay. You don't have to do high knees or jumping jacks, even though that may be fun and that may be a cup of tea for somebody, okay? The simpler, the better. So I was thinking when I was creating this content, how could I relate to these people who are on their feet all the time, right? And here are some easy examples that shouldn't be as taxing, but they still get you moving, right? So calf raises, marching in place, taking a long route, okay? And if you guys have any ideas, I'd love to hear them and share them with our community. Because at the end of these 4 weeks, we become a fit fam, all right? That's what I like to call my classes, my clients, fit family, okay? So this is my shameless plug for McKee Fit, okay? Y'all know what's coming. It's what we do here, okay? So with McKee Fit, I want to encourage you guys the importance of connection, okay? With connection, we have accountability. Accountability is a very, very powerful tool to help us achieve our goals, okay? How is that so? You and your friend or a coworker or a family member, when you're walking alongside each other and one is not leaving the other in the dust, right? We're able to challenge each other, encourage each other, push each other, right? And so this is how accountability can help us cultivate everything that we've learned over the last 4 weeks, right? So where does McKee Fit come into play? Well, let me do a quick shout out. My team out in Stewart's Draft, Amber and Miles. My team out in Collegedale, Supervisor Stephanie and Sean. And also my coworker here, Alan Thompson, as our wellness coordinator teams, right? we're here for you guys, and we want to help you guys live your best life. Okay? So, whether you're here in Gentry, or you're out in Virginia, or you're in Tennessee, contact your wellness coordinator. They're there to help you guys, love on you guys, okay? Answer questions, coach you all, okay? Because like I said, this is a journey, and we don't want to walk on that journey alone, all right? Now, with McKee Fit, did you know $650 is on the table? $650, okay? You can earn that over the course of 4 10-week sessions, okay, throughout the course of the year if you are signed up with the HSA account through McKee, okay? So just throwing that out there. So with the 10 minutes of exercise, if you just throw on 20 extra minutes a day, it doesn't have to be 20 straight. You can break it up into 3 10-minute segments. You can earn your money that way. So just something to keep in mind. We have several programs here at McKee. We have McKee Fit Move for people who like to exercise on their own, don't really want a hands-on approach, but may need a little bit of nutrition guidance from time to time or workout sent to them. We have an app here called Trainerize that we use that for, okay? It's really cool, very intuitive and user-friendly. We have Telecoach. My man Miles out in Virginia holding it down for our Telecoach participants he does, bi-weekly calls to help them achieve their health goals. Okay, so then we move into lifestyle. Okay, our most used program here, where we have group fitness classes. We have one-on-one coaching, and we have one-on-one personal training as well. Okay, so we've built these programs to help meet you where you are and help to encourage you guys of the importance of lifestyle change. Now, with the word lifestyle, I want to remind you guys, it's not a habit, right? This is not a quick time fix. This is not a one-time fad or a diet culture or anything like that. This is lifestyle change, and we want to take that very seriously. All right. Now, as we get close to wrapping up today, I want to remind you guys of a few things. Tiny habits have huge impact on us. How? Well, if we remember, tiny habit is built on what? 3 things. An anchor moment, which is our day-to-day activities, things that we don't even think about. We just do habitually, right? So, waking up in the morning, putting our shoes on, putting our clothes on, brushing our teeth, looking fly, getting ready for work, right? And then we get our coffee on. If we can sandwich in a new tiny behavior that we want to adopt in between one of those moments, which we call anchor moments, we're going to be more likely to adopt new behavior and create new habits for ourselves. Now, we can't just leave it alone with those 2 things. We also have to celebrate the wins. Why? Because baby steps are still steps, okay? Remember, this is the journey. We're not getting there in one day or 1 week, even 1 month, right? This is lifetime commitment. And that's where you see the most consistent and impactful change, okay, is when you adopt it as a lifestyle. Success will always lead to success. All right. Let's get into some order of eating now, all right? So, order of eating, like I said, is the foundation, and I thought it'd be cool to bring up some more examples of the habits that we've talked about in the past and dive into some more glucose charts provided by our pal, Miss Jessie Inchauspe, okay? So the first one being what we just talked about, 10 minutes of exercise post-meal. And we can see the glucose spike here and its difference in not walking after or any type of general activity, and then having our general activity after 10 minutes, okay? And we see how that spike levels out. More balanced energy, smaller, if any, crashes, right? And then we have another example of a veggie starter, what we talked about last week, consuming veggies before we eat the rest of our meal and how that impacts our blood glucose levels. All right, let's look at some more examples. I had some fun with this, y'all. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty cool stuff. We have oat milk versus coconut milk. Okay. Why is the graph so different, you might ask? Well, what is oat milk derived from? It's derived from oatmeal, right? And what is oatmeal? It's starch. And from what we know about starch and it being a simple carbohydrate, okay, and how that affects our glucose and is broken down into glucose, we can better understand why this graph looks the way it does. Now, I will say and suggest that whenever you're selecting milk, please, please, please read the nutrition facts on the back, because what you read on the front of any container won't tell you the whole story, okay? Flip it around, read those nutrition facts, check the sugar content, as well as the other micronutrients. We have next, savory breakfast example, building it around protein, right? So we have a cereal, and then we have a cereal consumed after some protein, which is pretty cool. And then we come across a conundrum. What is this? Pineapple versus strawberries, and strawberries have a smaller spike? Well, to answer your question, not all fruit is made equally, all right? Tropical fruits, like pineapples and watermelon and banana, usually have a higher glycemic index than their berry cousins or relatives, okay? Not necessarily saying one is bad and one is good, but just informing you guys on your food decisions, just so you know what you're eating, right? We always want to be informed with what we put into our body. All right. Another example. We have brown sugar versus white sugar, okay? Now, the glucose spike is pretty much the same here. Fun fact, most brown sugar is just white sugar with molasses added, okay? For that brown aesthetic on there, all right? So again, just information. Want to make sure you guys know what you're buying and what you're eating. Okay. Next, we have a couple examples of veggie starters and their impact. When we have some of our favorite foods, who doesn't like a good bowl of mac and cheese? That ooey gooey cheese, when you lift up the spoon, it's just stringing all over the place, right? Or a hot basket of French fries, okay? Which we're still enjoying our favorite foods we enjoy, right? But we're mitigating that glucose spike, which is the most important thing, okay? One more example. This is pretty cool. The M&Ms with the almonds, okay? And we see how eating almonds prior to the M&Ms or even with the M&Ms helps level out the glucose spike. And then we even see eating grapes by themselves, which from what we know now about sugar, glucose, fructose, sucrose, okay, when sugar is broken down in the body, our body's systems respond the same. So if we preface it with one of the OG big three, in this case, it's fat from cheese, we can level that glucose spike. Okay, and then lastly, we see from eating the brownie by itself to eating the brownie after our tablespoon of vinegar. All right, so really cool examples here for you guys to take note of. Now, another reminder of what we've covered so far. I know it's a lot, so please don't feel like you can't reach out to me or any of the wellness coordinators at your location, okay, to talk about these things. Our order of eating, our savory breakfast, our vinegar once a day, our veggie starter, and now movement, okay? That's the last puzzle piece. All right. Now, as always, want to encourage you guys, take this information home with you, share it, okay? Don't keep it all to yourself. Have a sit-down conversation with the fam. Take it seriously, right? Talk about how these are lifestyle changes. We're not trying to flip the switch, right? We're looking at steady change over time, adoption of new habits, okay? So it's a commitment, right? Listen to how your body responds to food, okay? So instead of just consuming things just because it's what you used to do, let's sit down and eat intentionally. See how your body responds to the food, okay? Because that'll lead you in a lot of good places right there, just seeing how your body responds to food, okay? And then take one of these, now 6, I believe, new habits, and take one or all and adopt them over time, okay? So for y'all that have been doing this over time and compiling them, for y'all the superstars, for y'all that have been piecemealing it, taking one at a time, awesome. Y'all are brave, right? And that's what this class is for. is help encourage change. So after this, excuse me, you take those 7-day reflection cards, which are for y'all, okay? Those cards help you to know how you're feeling over the course of adopting these new habits, all right? It's helping you guys become more self-aware of how food, and in this case, the glucose method has been affecting you, all right? And then we have a post-class survey, which y'all on WebEx looks a little bit different, but for y'all here in class, if you could take out your phones and scan this QR code, we would love to hear some feedback from you guys on this class and any future classes that we might try to host. We'd love to hear back from y'all. And we greatly, me personally, appreciate all your time that you invested into this. Sincerely. We had a WebEx request to keep the classes going. Man, that's awesome. I really appreciate that. That's really cool and encouraging. Oh, we have a second. Thank you. That's awesome. And that is my goal, y'all. I would love to bring more content for you. All right. Yes, another WebEx said that they got their entire department to join in on this class and adopt these habits. And I've seen a lot of awesome change. Man, that's inspiration right there. And hopefully you saying that has opened the door for somebody to take their first step. It's been inspiration or encouragement or motivation to somebody. Thank you. And I do want to encourage you guys, for those who are a little bit timid or nervous to adopt any of these habits, or even specifically movement or getting into the gym or getting into exercise, know that the first step is just showing up, okay? Nobody got to where they are today overnight, okay? It took hard work and it took patience. And if you want to achieve mastery, it comes through the boredom of consistency, okay? There's no other way around it. So, just to encourage you guys, don't give up. Like I said, me and my team, we're riding with y'all. Let's go. Y'all fired me up today. Okay. Let's get into some testimonials, y'all. If anybody wants to share, I know we've had some on WebEx, but if anybody wants to share here in person or even more on WebEx, we would love to have some time for you guys to talk about how the glucose method has affected you, even if in part, okay? Yes, WebEx. Oh, somebody asked, what is a blue zone? So, before I answer that, let me just say this. I'm working on a project here that will blow y'all's mind about Blue Zone. So if we get good feedback from this class, we will have a live teaching class here with an instructor from a very notable university to come teach about Blue Zone. So stay tuned on that. I'd say there's a documentary on Netflix you can watch about Blue Zones. So I don't want to spoil it, but look that up and stay tuned. So the question was about cheese, right? And using it in the order. Yeah, so any cheese will be fine on that, okay? Yeah, you don't really have to be picky about the cheese. But like I said, always read those nutrition labels for the cheese, okay? So vinegar, a question about vinegar. She's asking if vinegar has to be taken in the morning, and the answer is no. It doesn't have to be taken in the morning. You get to choose when you want to consume your vinegar. It's just the most powerful and effective in our gut and how our gut breaks down glucose when it's consumed 10 to 30 minutes prior to a meal that has starch and or sugar. Okay, and that could be a snack too. It doesn't have to be a meal. I wouldn't drink it right before going to bed. I would try to time it with your meals. Yeah, I would try to time it before your meals. Or you could even have it in a salad, right? You don't have to just drink vinegar. You can drizzle it over a salad with some olive oil. You can make a mocktail. You can have some pickled onions or pickles or pickled beets, right? That has vinegar in it. You don't just have to drink vinegar. Okay, question was about greens in powder form, and do you eat those first? I would say yes. However, when you powderize, mash, or blend fruit and or vegetables, you're taking away some of the fiber there, okay? I always suggest consuming fruit and vegetable in a raw form because a lot of the fiber is in the skin of the fruit and the vegetables, okay? So if you can consume it in the raw, that would be your best option. However, I know that that's not practical for some. So if you are to consume a greens drink, I would consume it prior to, because the fiber content that is in there will still help you with your glucose. Okay, so question was about hummus, and in relation to the order of eating and whether I would say to eat pita bread with it or a type of wheat bread or grain, or should we eat vegetables? And I would always suggest vegetables because of the fiber in the veggies. And when it comes to hummus, most hummus is made with chickpeas. Chickpeas usually have a high starch content, okay? So the glycemic index is a little bit high compared to black beans. So if you can find a black bean hummus, you would have a lower glycemic index, therefore lowering that glucose spike. But if you're eating just regular hummus or hummus in general, if you can keep the dipsticks to be vegetables, you'll be in good shape, okay? And you can eat that prior to a meal. That would count as a veggie starter. All right, so for those interested in keeping up with Miss Inchauspe, okay? She has multiple platforms that she's on. So if you want to look her up, her handle is @glucosegoddess, or you can go to her website, okay? And like I said, this has been the inspiration behind this entire class. I love her content. The information that she provides and how she provides it is very easy to digest, pun intended, okay? So make sure you check those out when you have time, all right? And as for this class, again, congratulations. You've graduated. There's no cap and gown ceremony, unfortunately. But if you want to, we could have a dance party. Somebody just got to cue the music. No? Oh, okay. Anyways, I do want to say thank you to the media team back there, Brad, Brandon, Rex, he's not here, Mallory, our moderator for WebEx, helping keeping y'all engaged and connected. Thank you guys for showing up here in person over the course of these 4 weeks. And hope to continue doing this, y'all. This has been fun. This has been fun. So without further ado, before I forget, I promise you guys these books. Stay patient. They are coming. Okay? Each one of you guys, including our WebEx fam, we love y'all. We love y'all too, but just making sure they know. Y'all will be getting your books too. Okay? And like I said, this has 100 recipes in there. Okay? And that goes for savory breakfast, how to integrate vinegar, your veggie starter. Okay? So a lot of fun new recipes, things to create, things to try. Okay, so thank you guys again. It's been my pleasure and an honor to facilitate this. So, peace.